Hello, everybody, and we're live. Welcome, Speak Up Monday here. Tropical Nomad every Monday. We go live at 6:30, though we try and go a little bit earlier to make sure we have any live problems, we can deal with them. So as you know, we're all about 4 weeks in a month. One of those weeks is devoted to health. We call it the Future of Health, curated by Hub Bali, who is Tracy sitting next to me on my left that we'll get into in a short while. Now, this is episode number 6, and today we're going to discuss, about the radical reset to our health. And we're going to have a great action-packed session. We have 4 wonderful experts that we'll ask them to introduce themselves shortly. And maybe, Rob, we'll start with you in a moment. So remember, here you can join us. We are in this wonderful setting called Tropical Nomad here in Canggu, Bali. And we have a studio audience that you're welcome to join. It's free. There's no need to RSVP, no membership required. You can just literally come in here and join us. Great for networking and meeting like-minded people. So without further ado, we're here, number 6. If we introduce our panel, so maybe 1 or 2 minutes, maybe just to introduce yourself so we can get a good idea of what makes you tick, who you are, and why you're here.
Hi, my name is Robert Parson. I'm one of the founding members of LiveO2. So I started with LiveO2 shortly after it was originally founded. It's been about 10 years now. So quite a long time. This actually might be year 11. And we started from a very small company that, patented and invented this technology for oxygen training. And, I've helped to build that company now over, 10 plus years to where it's at today. I started off as the director of sales for the company and then, worked into training. I've trained thousands upon thousands, 7,000+ people with their individual health goals and clinics on how to use oxygen therapy with their clients and with themselves. So I've got to see a lot of people in a big cross-section of how oxygen therapy and training can really improve people's lives and the impact it can have directly with start to finish. And now I work with product development with the company, remotely here in Bali. The company's based in the United States, in Colorado, but I work remotely with product development still today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we pass that microphone to Dana. And Ayu, just need you for a second.
So my name is Dana Kahu. I am a body relationship coach and a lymphatics flow specialist at Kahu. My background is starting out as a military physical training instructor, so learning how resilient the body can be when given a heavy task and making sure that the mind is taking the lead. And then also working with chiropractors as technical assistants and also with physical training in the gyms and functional wellness as well, trying to bridge the gap between health and fitness and making sure that people have an understanding of what goes on in the body, how they can look after it as they're trying to achieve their goals of physical fitness and reaching, I guess, heights that they've never reached before, but also just making sure that they continue to be fluid in their body as they age. So the things I focus on are mainly movement and lymphatics, and really just making sure that I can help them be a wellness connector and a holistic problem solver when it comes to things that are showing up in their body that they're not quite understanding what's happening with them. So, that's where I am.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And look, so now if we pass, that's good, Tracy, the mic to you, my friend, and if you could maybe introduce yourself and any facts you think might be pertinent. Thank you.
Okay.
So 1 second. Guzman, if you microphone up, and I will just keep eye contact. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening for everybody. I introduce myself. I'm a practitioner, a natural practitioner for around 25 years in Bali. Now I have 2 clinics. First clinic is for the heart and brain therapy. So it means to clean the blood and to clean the what they call blood vessels actually. So it is involved with the oxygen, but it is not O2, but it's O3 until O10. So that's we call ozone therapy. So we help many patients, especially when people have many blockages in their heart, maybe like heart enlargements, or they have a stroke, very, very poor of the blood circulations. So we help them, and then, of course, most of them, they are the patients from the hospital. But if they have a couple of times of the stroke or maybe the heart attack, so they are seeking for my help. So it is very, what you call, very promising that we help thousands of people here in Bali. Especially, we help more from the government people. So for me, it is very, what you call, very helpful, especially for the elderly. So now, at the second part, I have a clinic for the dialysis, and maybe this is the largest clinic for the dialysis center in Bali Island. Of course, there's many problems when we're talking about elderly, not about the blood circulation problem. The problem is sometimes the absorptions, the hormones, and yeah, the most important is their immune system based, because most of the elderly, they have the very, very poor of the immune system. So we are dealing with cancer as well. Of course, there's many things we can do in our clinic. So, but the most important thing is this is very good for the elderly, especially elderly. We can help them to gain more of their vitality as if they were young. Thank you.
You know, thank you so much, Dr. Sufendi. It's interesting because I had a conversation today or yesterday with a gentleman who builds retirement homes. And I was explaining to him he should come tonight and check it out. And he was wondering, what's the connection, right? And I said, look, just come, because there's a connection. And again, you just mentioning here that, you know, quite a lot of the work that you do is focused towards the elderly, because again, Bali, this health tourism, medical tourism, you know, is part of this, right? And with the retirement visa, we're having a lot more. I know 5 retirees who have moved to Bali. And as you mentioned before, are in need or in search of those ancillary services that are able for them to maintain their health and even improve it. I mean, as you mentioned before, you know, they can grab that or gain that vitality, kind of reconnect to that vitality again. So wonderful to have you here, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because now I know why you're here. It's like, that's why, I get it. So thank you very much indeed, most appreciated. And Sister Tracy, so a little intro to you. I know people have seen you every week, but there are some people here that haven't seen you before. So I'd say a nice little intro to you, and then we can start to talk about what we're going to discuss tonight.
My name's Tracy. I'm the founder of Health Hub Bali, which is a platform to connect people to better health. It's it's a science and evidence-based platform. My background is functional wellness or medicine, and using the tools, first of all, to what I call a radical reset, which is through especially Dr. Chai's clinic, and then the elements, whether it's oxygen, why we have got these guys here tonight, and especially unblocking and clearing anything that may be hindering our healing and our vitality.
Got it. Wonderful. Now, so if I could maybe get you to, or ask you, request for you to explain a little bit more about what we're going to talk about tonight and why it's important.
Okay. The first one was the radical reset. Have you got the list there?
That's okay.
Yeah, okay. The radical reset, and that was to do, like I just said, to do with the clinic.
Just point the microphone towards your phone. Yeah.
To do with the clinic. The other part was especially recovering health and restoring it and reversing. So when we're talking old age, if people are not getting cancer, they're looking at getting dementia. And there's nothing I know rather than say O2 and there's a Dr. Bresden, Dale Bresden in USA, and I forget, probably a year ago, they launched the research of a reversal of 100 cases of Alzheimer's. So based on that, we've got one of the experts here living in Bali that can share that knowledge. And we've got the tools at Health Hub to share.
And that was the last one, by the way, cognitive disorder that you just remembered. So
the other one in between was about sustainability and having lifestyle medicine. And that's where we come to Dana, who offers online courses to unblock and clear the pathway so we can actually detox properly.
wonderful, wonderful. So now we have these incredible people here. How would you like to engage, and what would be the first question that maybe you would pose to maybe Robert or Dana or Dr. Sufendi? What question would that be to get us started on tonight's topic?
Probably Dr. Chai. If someone, say people don't normally act until there's what we call code red, like they've got a diagnosis or something, they're not well or they're not getting better. When this happens, what would you say to them? Like they're not well, something's happened, there's an emergency.
Yeah, of course, as a standard procedure, we must know all about, usually about the laboratory results, blood result. That's the first thing, okay? Because, however, our therapy involved in the chemical, in the patient's blood. So involved in the chemical. So what we are going to seek is the problem usually from the liver side, from the kidney side, from the blood side, or maybe from the immune side. We must make sure what is the cause of the problem. Okay. Yeah, of course, some of the patients' problem is maybe they are very easily to panic, anxiety. Yeah, we can give them what we call discussion, how to overcome their problem. Sometimes chemical because, like I said, your blood clot is coming from the anxiety. You cannot control your anger. How about the blood pressure? Okay, you are unhappy. So there's many things when we're talking about the human body, from the chemical side and from the soul side, So that's why we need friends, we need social environment. So there's many things we must have the procedure to check. So this involved with the what we call consultations and involved with the laboratory as well. That's it.
One thing, just a reminder to our panel, remember to put this microphone quite close to your mouth so people can hear you. So one thing that we were discussing, I think, during the week was this. We know the body has this ability to heal itself, but there are times where what the body is faced with is so difficult for the body to heal that it won't be able to deal with it by itself. And this is when we're talking about this radical, what you refer to as radical reset, that then helps to clear the body first, so the body then is able to then heal itself. So Tracy, can you just explain that for people, and then we can move to Dana and Rob?
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is particularly an ozone treatment called EBU, and it's the easiest way to explain it is I'd call it like a dialysis, where the blood goes out continuously through an ozone generator and back in. Clean, it's oxygenated, but it's ozonated. And what that does to pathogens is something that will take a load off our body that otherwise we may not get through. It's a lot quicker than using herbs or other options as well. How else would you explain that?
Yeah, most of the patients coming, some of them, maybe some of them just problem with the immune system. It's involved as young as maybe about teenagers. Sometimes around 20. It's very, very productive. But the problem is they have the immune system, aggregation of the immune system. So when you come to the doctor or you come to the medical doctor, they give you to calm down, to easy the reaction. Yeah? But if they seeking more deeply, they have the problem with the immune, aggregation of the immune system. So even they take for years of the medicine, it cannot help them at all. Why? Maybe it will kill them slowly because of the side effect. So you must find the cause. But usually for the elderly, I said elderly is involved around 50 years old and up. The first problem always is involved with the poor blood circulation. So this is about the oxygen. Why they cannot absorb more oxygen? If the blood is too thick, the blood circulations won't help. It means your heartbeat is too slow. Your blood circulation is too slow. So it absorbs the oxygen is very, very little. So it makes you dizziness. You cannot sleep well. Maybe you walking, you cannot help to do exercise properly. So we help them with the oxygens. How to involve with the oxygen? We clean the blood. How much the blood we can draw up? Around 5.5 liters or 5,500 milliliters in one time, in one session. So usually people, when talking about elderly, around 50 and up, they need around 10 times to 20 times. Maybe it can reach to 30 times if they have the problem with stroke. They problem with the heart enlargement, because when the blood pressure is very high and constantly, it can make the heart bigger, or we call heart enlargement. So it's lowering the pumping. So how to solve the blood, the heart enlargement? Doctor said, I just give you the medicine in the long run, but actually it won't help to solve the problem. How to make the heart normal again. So what I'm going to do? Yeah, if you have money, maybe you can do the transplantation. Like that, yeah. So
start again.
Yeah, start again. Okay. But of course, it's involve all the money, you know.
And that really is a radical reset, by the way.
Sometimes, you know, when you create problem, okay, you create money. See? Yeah. But of course, this is not about business. We are talking about how to help people, but especially we help ourselves first. Yeah. Okay? If you can help yourself, you can help others. Yeah. Of course, we are not talking about doctor is not good or the hospital is not good. But we combine together, and you see, because I always said we stopping the cause, not the problem. See, when you involve with the medicine, it's just calm down the symptom.
Yeah, but it's not addressing the root cause.
No, cannot. So people have the problem, like heart attack, and then they take the medicine for years, and then they have hit again, and you involved with the more medicines coming. But how to solve this? Yeah, because this is kind of business. Yeah. So how? Yeah, of course, I do not promote this too much. Yeah, because when you do promote, it involve money, not good as well. So people come to seeking how to solve the problem. I telling them how to do this. If God give you 100 years, make sure you have 100 years of the quality of life.
Quality.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Wow. And look, just before we go to Sister Dana and Brother Robert, I'm so happy to have another Robert on the panel. So good. It's great. Just a quick show of hands. Who in the audience and on the panel is over 50? Raise your hands. Guido's not raising his hand. Clearly he's 49. Okay, cool. All right, so I am your target market. All right, we are. Okay, good, thank you. So Tracy, maybe what question would you give? Maybe the same question to Dana and Rob as well.
This is a classic of what we're saying is the future of health. And it's preventative. We're looking for those things so we can activate the body and neutralise the disease. And that's what actually this clinic has got tools there to do that.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So how do we bring in Dana and Rob to this conversation?
With say, Dana, is once we've neutralised and got out of this emergency state, now for the body to function well, there's a thing called lymphatics. It's most understated system in the body, and I'd really like you to share about that.
Yeah, so maybe a great way to start would be to explain, so when we say lymphatic system, what does that mean? What is lymphatics? Because I'm sure people here will say, yes, I know what it is, but they have no idea. I put my hand up, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to know what it actually is and then take it forward from that point.
Okay, so this is a great question. The lymphatic system is like the janitor, okay? It's the clean-up system of the body. So it takes out the waste that is produced by the body. But it doesn't just do that. It also transports nutrients, helps transport nutrients and oxygen to the body as well. The beauty of it is that it does work with the circulatory system. So when we're talking about bloods, the lymphatic system governs the blood, right? If the lymphatic system isn't working well, then the blood is going to be under threat, right? So we want to make sure that the lymphatic system is flowing so that the blood is taken care of and it's going to be beautiful, oxygenated and just working as optimal as it can. But when it starts getting thick, so over time and distance, when it starts getting thick and heavy and stuck, then we need to get the lymphatic system to flow to really help push that through. Because the one principle of lymphatics is if we can reduce the waste, get rid of the waste, okay, so drainage, draining the waste, precedes supply, which means we don't just go and put in all this nutrients and stuff to try and deal to what's happening in the body. We actually need to create space for that nutrients. So if we can help the body to release all of that waste, the toxicity that's built up as there's stagnation in the system, then we can then create that space so that when we have that nutrients, good foods or whatever, whether it's supplement, if you want to argue that, or activators or whatever it is, oxygen therapies, we can then, the cells are ready, soft and squishy and open and ready to receive that. Once the cell is receiving nutrients, it becomes animated. So if we think about, if we go to the cell, right, this is where lymphatics works really well, is because the lymphatic system is all around the cells, all the fluid that's around the cells, right? I'm just going to kind of slow down here. There is 3 times the volume of lymphatics, all right, it's 3 times the volume of, lymphatics than there is blood. Wow. Okay, so if you've been like me when I first learned about lymphatic system, it was in the neck, in the armpits, and in the groin. But lymphatics is actually from head to toe, pretty much. Toenails to fingernails, that's what I say, and everything in between. And when you think of that, you're like, okay, this must be a really important system if there is going to be a lot more of that than there is, let's say, blood. If we go again, like, we are a human, and the way that the human becomes animated and healthy and expressive and vibrant, then the environment that the human is in needs to be conducive to that, right? Now, that's the same as in the body. If our cells' environment is healthy, vibrant, nutritious, alkaline, then the cell's going to be animated and happy and healthy. That environment is lymphatics. Get it? So that's why I work with lymphatics, because I found that when I was in the military, I could push someone to do stuff and to move, get down, get up, and do it 1,000 times. Yeah. As we get older, I can't do that now with someone who's had time and distance, more than I have. But if I work their lymphatics, I got their cells happier, more supple, more vibrant, more animated, then the human becomes more supple, more vibrant, more animated.
Why is it, if what I'm saying is true, but why is it that lymphatics is not discussed more? Like there's not more awareness around lymphatics than what there currently is. What would you say?
Oh dear.
If it's true.
You might be able to help me on
If
that
it's
one.
true.
But
If it's true.
it is true. So from my mentors, it is true. Lymphatics has been the most understated system of the body. It's really underrated. I don't know if it's because it's actually quite simple, and simplicity doesn't work. It has to be really complex. But for I call it GPOPs, general population, hashtag GPOPs. For the GPOPs, it has to be simple, otherwise they won't do it.
Yeah.
If it's complex, we just get frozen and stuck. And the thing with lymphatics, when we block up flow, it is oftentimes when we are either frustrated, angry, we're full of anxiety, or we have no idea what to do. You think of fight or flight, you freeze, you close up. So when you block up the tubes, you've got no flow in the body. And that's when we have that stagnation in the blood, and we have, oxygen's not able to get into the cells to then animate the body. So we're getting stuck. And this day and age, we are in that fight or flight. So
Usually it shows up in the liver and kidneys first, so that's what everyone reacts to first, including the doctors. But what I learnt from, and if they talk lymphatic, they're usually talking about a little massage like this, going over people's bodies and someone else doing it to you. What I learnt from Dana was about all the blocks, unblocking it and doing it in a certain order. If the gateways are not unblocked, the lymph cannot flow. And that is a practice, a daily practice, takes about 5 minutes that she educates people to do themselves.
Wow.
And so now we're starting backwards to heal.
Well, tell us about that, because, by the way, people here, we like to keep this, that's probably why I'm here. Keep it simple, because, I operate very simply as much as I possibly can, because I don't have all the knowledge that many people here do. And I like that, because then at least we don't leave people behind. Right? And as you said before, like if you don't make it easy for people to understand, they're never going to adopt it, never going to use it, right? So the question came and went, come back. So we said, or we've asked, why do you think, it's undiscovered, not necessarily, but not spoken so much about? You've answered that question. So then probably the question that comes in is twofold. So one is, what actionable tool can people use? You mentioned a massage, Tracy.
No.
That's one part of it, right? That's one part of it. And the other part of it is that then, on this radical reset topic tonight, which part does lymphatics play within that sphere?
okay, the first question, which is how to implement lymphatics. So each one of us can implement lymphatics by the looks of things. We all have hands, we all have fingers, right? So these are the most healing tools that we're ever going to have. We're born with them. Most of us are born with them, and we can use them to our own advantage. Okay, we have full autonomy over them. So the thing with lymphatics is, as Tracy said, their order matters. And the one major gateway that you can all actually play with today, are we all right to do that?
Let's do this.
Okay, so you can all play with this today. But first of all, a contraindication to starting off lymphatic work is if someone's going through cancer, radiation, and any therapies, to come with that. So if you are going through chemo or radiation, please refrain from it. And also, if you do have blood clots as well, so please refrain from just doing anything that we're going to do soon. And then lastly, which you probably won't be watching this because you would be in bed with a high fever. If you have a high fever, then please don't do this, which is when you're dealing with active infections and things. So what you want to do, why we leave the body alone, because it has a lot to deal with anyways. We don't want to add more to it. So if that's not you, then you're able to and you're willing to do something with your lymphatics. The first thing that you want to know is the major gateway that we have, or the very first gateway, is in the collarbones. Okay, so if you feel the collarbones and in that kind of pocket, okay, behind the collarbone, that is your major gateway. So that's the one, gateway number 1. That takes the lymph fluid back to the circulatory system via the venous system. All I'm going to say there is that it just takes the lymph fluid back to the blood, okay, to the blood system, and then it can do what it needs to do. Now, if we can unblock that, then we can make sure that there's some type of flow at least happening there. Right, so how you're going to do that is with your fingers, we're going to start on the left side, okay? We're going to go your right hand, place your fingertips on the left behind the collarbone, and you're just going to press and release, press and release, press and release. You'll do that a few times, all right? So what you're going to do is you're going to feel for any tightness, any lumps, bumps, tenderness. Even emotions can show up. I have had someone cry for about half an hour just by clearing their collarbones. It's not unnormal to do that. Like, it is very much a deep connection you're doing. The reason why you press and release, it's like you've got a hose charged with water. You're kinking the hose to block the flow, and then you're releasing it, and you know how fast the fluid flows then when you release it. You're just encouraging more flow through here, okay? Once you've done that, then you rub. Okay, and the rub is like you're kind of rubbing a boo-boo, or you're kind of rubbing, getting sand off your skin after you've been on the beach. Okay, so once you've done that, what I want you to do is you're sitting next to somebody, have a look at your collarbone now, and have a look at your neck, have a look at your chest, and have a look up around your chin, and just see if it's turned red. It's okay. Now, if it's turned red, that can mean that it's been blocked for a bit, and now you've just got some flow, and it's like going, woohoo, we've got oxygen here, thank you very much, right? And we've got a bit more blood flow, a bit more flow happening in the fluid systems. So that is the left side. Yes?
First of all, like when you say behind, you're talking about like closer to the neck, like behind, like just like 2 pockets kind of. You're talking like, okay.
So yeah, so along the collarbone and then just behind it. Yeah.
Second is like how much
Great question.
strength would you say when you press, like from 1 to 10, with 10 is like the most powerful?
Not 10, but look, I'm going around 5 or 6. You're exploring. The key is that you're exploring. Don't be afraid to explore your body. A lot of people will say, we'll be very gentle. As Tracy was saying, it's just this little rub on the lymphatics. The body's resilient. The body's pretty tough. No, you don't want to smash it, but you do want to explore. And for you to explore, you got to get in and go, oh, what is there? If you're feeling tenderness and lumps and bumps and leatherness and things like that, then you go, okay, thank you, body, for letting me know that there is potential blockage there. I'm going to now give you a bit of a rub and help you unblock, and we'll see what shows up. So if you're red there, then that's saying, yay, let's get some flow. If you're not red there, you still gave the body some flow. So you're a win-win.
So, some of the guys, just had big flush, so you can see it's been totally blocked.
And just add that left side, the reason why you do the left first is because there's more, on the left side, it drains more lymph. I don't know why that is. I haven't got a direct line to who created us. But the left collarbone drains most of your lymph. The right collarbone drains the right head, the right arm, and the right torso from about the lower rib cage, but everything else is drained by the left collarbone. So that's why we start with the left, get more bang for the buck straight away, but whatever we do to the left, we do to the right. So just, if we can, just spend a bit of time with your left hand behind your right collarbone, press and release, just doing that, and then giving that a rub, and then that way you've cleared both your collarbones, and then that is the minimum, the bare minimum I would get somebody to do.
Love that. And then quickly before we go to Rob, who's been waiting very patiently, Rob, I know you have a lot to say. It's coming to you very shortly. So that the second part to that question was, which part would you say lymphatics play in this reset, this reset that we're talking about now?
From my perspective, the way that it plays is that it helps clear the blockages, as Tracy was saying. So with the alpha machine showing up, a lot of things happening in the liver and the kidneys, if I can help connect the clients to the lymphatics and just to get more flow of the waste getting out, then the liver is able to start releasing more waste. The kidneys can deal with the waste. We can start getting it's pretty much just getting the rubbish guys going along the curbside and picking up the rubbish and taking it away. It's almost like when we don't do that, the guys have been, it's been COVID for 2 years and the rubbish has been piling up, right? So now we've gone, hey guys, we actually really need to start cleaning up now. So we get them out, clean up, and then now it's a beautiful system of, yes, waste. We're always generating waste every single second of the day. So we just need to get it out into the curbside, and then the lymphatics will come pick it up and then take it away.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tracy. And then Rob. You want to say something?
Yeah, and why that's so important is the clearing of it. I'm just thinking so much consciousness about weight and like the knees and the joints and things like that. If there's a block there, you wonder what, nothing can clear. You can be as skinny as you want as well. But if you've got blocks there, plus we've got like blood clots as well, we want to keep everything just clear and flowing, and that will support the drainage of all our toxins. That's why it's cool.
Because again, what we're talking about here is whole health, right? You keep talking about
vitality, so that way can be vital, sorry. Yeah.
So now what question can we do to bring this this wonderful man into this conversation?
He knows the question.
Yeah, well, I can give a little perspective on LiveO2 and how we use oxygen training to help, improve health. There's 3 primary, domains. The main one that we see the most of is people who are already dealing with a health challenge, and we need to take them from a code red zone to get them back on their feet. And that's probably the majority of the people that we end up working with, because just people aren't good at preventative maintenance, it just seems like. Like the second tier of people that we work with the most would be anti-aging. We're all combating just general aging, as it is. And we lose about 2% of our oxygen efficiency of our body every single year. We hit our peak at age 22, and then every year after that, we lose about 2% of our efficiency. This has been studied by a doctor named Manfred von Ardenne extensively for over almost 30 years. And he charted thousands of people, and if you could see all these different age ranges and measured their efficiency of their AVO2 differential, how efficient their oxygen uptake was, and it just looks like a steady chart going down and to the right every single year that we're getting older, all the way until we die. So if we can do something like oxygen therapy with LiveO2 and other type of oxygen training modalities, we can offset that. We can increase the amount of oxygen to optimal levels regardless of our physical age, which is a really powerful technology in the reset of being able to take a little bit more control over our health. And then the third section of people that we work with a lot is athletes and people trying to get optimal performance. With LiveO2, the way we see it is, oxygen is the most important thing to us being alive all in this room right now. If we all hold our breath, the most important thing, food, water, all these things, oxygen is going to be the thing that's going to knock you over first. So, and that's the same exact thing all the way down to our cells, even our skin cells, our brain cells, liver cells, every single cell in our entire body, it needs oxygen to operate. So, if we're not getting enough oxygen to those cells, it becomes a challenge. The cell cannot do its job properly, it cannot replicate properly, it cannot do any of the things it needs to do, and we have dysfunction and disease within the body. So, and the circulatory system, we breathe in oxygen, it goes in through our lungs and diffuses into our red blood cells and travels through our circulatory system, to the cell and try to get into the mitochondria. Well, that's about 60,000 miles is an estimation of how long that circulatory system can be. It wraps around the Earth several times in just one human being. And the problem that we see, and this is kind of the bigger picture, is that over time, due to physical injury, just general getting older, the pipes start getting a little bit, don't have as good a flow, as they do, 50 years later than when you were first born. Inflammation, different types of diseases, toxicity in the body, so many different things can cause that circulatory system to not be optimal. And those pipes start getting more and more closed in, And at the very end of that circulatory pathway, those branches get smaller and smaller and smaller, all the way down to where a single red blood cell has to bend, fold, and pop through to get into the capillary to deliver the oxygen that's needed at the cell. So if those pipes are blocked up way far back, it's very difficult for oxygen, the red blood cells, to get all the way down those pipes, and they have to deliver their oxygen into the blood plasma far away from your extremities and the end of those capillaries. So if you're not getting enough oxygen all the way to the cell just can't do its job properly. Not to get too technical, cells can, operate without oxygen, but it's a very dirty process, and there's lots of waste products that come with that, and it leads to even more inflammation within the body. So what we see with LiveO2 is if we're able to increase the amount of dissolved oxygen that's going into a person's body dramatically, we're talking in one 15-minute session, we're getting about 4 times more dissolved oxygen into your blood plasma very quickly. And we're also having people exercise while they're doing this oxygen therapy. So it's an active therapy. Your heart's pumping, you're breathing heavily, you're breathing in pure oxygen. When we're doing that, we're able to get a lot more dissolved oxygen into the person's body. And when that dissolved oxygen reaches those areas of the body that are inflamed, it reaches these cells called the endothelium, which are cells that line the inside of your circulatory system. And when those are damaged or have been dealing with toxicity, all these types of things that cause them to inflame, when there's a flood of oxygen coming to them, they flatten out. They debloat. Basically, your pipes open up almost immediately, within almost one session, depending on the situation. And when that opens up, the cells that are behind those blocked areas can start receiving life-giving oxygen immediately, within one session. And those cells can potentially turn on and activate even if they've been dormant for years. So it's a pretty powerful therapy, and it's very, very low risk, and people can do it even on a daily basis if they need to. And I would say, the more compromised people are, the more beneficial it can be, and the older that you are, the more beneficial it can be too as well. But that's how I see, oxygen therapy really playing a role. One other thing on that is, historically, there was hyperbaric oxygen chambers that have been around for over 100 years that people could use to increase the amount of oxygen in their blood plasma, and those work great. But one of the challenges with those is that it's quite expensive and there's limited access. So, to purchase one of those systems might be $120,000 to get a proper hard shell chamber, and then you have to have licensed staff to watch over the person the entire hour and a half to 2 hours it takes to get a therapy session. And people may need 60 or 70 or 80 sessions, and in the States it's about $250 per visit to get this type of benefit. So there's lots of professional athletes, really wealthy people that do this, and they get the benefits of oxygen therapy. But part of this radical reset is with something like LiveO2, the cost is dramatically lower, and the application time is only about 15 minutes. So that's a massive change. And we're getting the same benefits as a hard shell hyperbaric chamber for most people. And we've reduced the cost, 10x, reduced the time from 2 hours per day to something like 15 minutes. And it's a workout that's involved with it. So you can also think how many conditions that people are dealing with would be alleviated or prevented if people just exercise for 15 minutes a day.
Can you tell everyone what O2 is, the machine?
The system? Yeah. So what LiveO2 is basically it's a system. There's a large reservoir that fills up with 98% pure oxygen, and there's a large diameter hose that goes to a mask that you wear. And you would typically get on some type of exercise equipment. It doesn't matter if it's a treadmill or exercise bike. The whole point is we need to get the person's heart rate and respiration rate elevated. And you exercise for 15 minutes while breathing pure oxygen. Now, if you just breathe pure oxygen, that's only one half of it. It's actually not that helpful. And this is what a lot of people get wrong. And a lot of the history of EWAT, traditionally, it doesn't really work, because as you're breathing in pure oxygen, it goes into your lungs and it attaches on to your red blood cells and to your hemoglobin, but you reach full saturation of oxygen on your hemoglobin within about 2 minutes. And if you just keep breathing oxygen, even though it's elevated, beyond 2 minutes, it's kind of like you're filling up a glass of water with more water. It's not really getting any more full. You already reached capacity. So the thing that we've really pioneered with LiveO2 is there's a second setting. So once we have them exercising, they've worked up a little bit of a sweat, all of their red blood cells are beaming and completely full of oxygen. We flip a switch that changes the air that they're breathing from being pure oxygen to being low in oxygen, similar to being on top of a mountain, like Mount Agung, and we can adjust how high that simulated elevation or thin air is, anywhere between 10,000 feet up to 19,000 feet of elevation. So if anyone's ever been hiking in the mountains and you've gotten short of breath a lot faster than normal, that's because there's less oxygen in that air and it's a lot harder. And what's happening when you feel that sensation of it being harder is you're building up a lot of carbon dioxide in the blood. And when that carbon dioxide builds up in the blood, that's like a key that unlocks the oxygen to release from your red blood cells and your hemoglobin. So we fill up the oxygen on the red blood cells with training on pure oxygen. Once it's all full, we see that. We flip a switch, and they start exercising on altitude air. The CO2 builds up really high, and then all like a waterfall, all at one time, within about usually 30 seconds, all of the oxygen releases from all of their hemoglobin in their entire body all at one time and pours into their blood plasma. And when that happens, we watch this on an oxygen monitor while they're training. As soon as we see that occur, we flip the switch and put them back on pure oxygen. The red blood cells come back to the lungs. They fill up with oxygen again. They spread out throughout your entire body, and then we do it again. And then we do it again, and then we do it again. So it's similar to interval training and intermittent altitude training, or hypoxic training, intermittent hypoxic training. But at the end of a session, we're getting a massive amount of oxygen delivered into those cells, or into the blood plasma, and that can stay inside that person, keeping their body elevated and beaming with oxygen for up to about 48 hours after one training session. So yeah, that's kind of a encapsulation of LiveO2.
Yeah. And then the other part is with dementia or some with cognitive
well, yeah, I mean,
issues.
Some people ask what kind of things can LiveO2 or oxygen therapies help, and the better question is, what can't it help? Every single cell in our body needs oxygen, and especially if there's trauma to the brain or dementia, TBIs, any of these types of things, we could see in many cases almost immediate changes in the person from the second they step off the exercise equipment onto the floor, where they're feeling different immediately. So yeah, and we're working with probably the main subset of people with a health condition that we're seeing the most dramatic results with is people with dementia and cognitive decline. So in the United States, Dr. Dale Bredesen and A Mind for All Seasons with Dr. Eric Collette, we have many, many clinics throughout the U.S. that are working specifically with dementia, and they're integrating LiveO2 as one of their therapies within their entire systems, and it's working really well. And in every way we can measure it, we can do brain scans, we can do cognitive tests where people measure their cognitive intelligence before and after, and we're seeing dramatic increases at a low cost, a low amount of time, low risk, and especially, again, the more trouble that the person's in, typically the faster and more dramatically they're responding.
What I'm picking up here is that the future of health, I look at each person who's answered that question tonight in a different way, and it blows my mind. Who here has learned something? Just put your hand up. All right? Who here can't even remember what they learned, but they know they learned something? Be honest. My mind's like tripped. From you, Dr. Chai, I was like, yes, got it. Got it from you. Got it from you. Got it, and then forgotten it. So the good news is you can watch us on replay, right? So go to Speak Up Monday on YouTube, and you get to a library where the last 155 episodes are. So you can listen to all of this again, because it's a lot to take in, really. And each of you, have given me a different. I want to try all of them. It's like, anyway, but I think it's phenomenal. And you kind of jumped the gun, because I was about to ask you, about the panel about cognitive disorders and how do your various modalities affect or influence that. And then he just asked him straight out. And he was like, well, this is how it helps. I'm like, damn it. What else do you know that I want to ask? It's good.
But I want to say that as far as because I don't think Dr. Chai covered this. The viruses, the fungi, the molds, whatever, with the ozone, and what can be done with that to neutralise. Before we do any of these others, we want this out. We want that out the body.
Yeah, of course.
So if we pass to Dr. Chai the microphone, he needs that. And before you go to there, so after this, we'll go to questions, right? So we don't really want it to be just everybody here talking and everybody listening. It's nice to get some engagement back. So if you do have questions in about 5 minutes or so, we'll take that third microphone and we'll just send it out over here, and then we'll have a chance to ask any questions. Secondly to that, if there's a question you have that is more of a personal, private nature, and maybe you don't want it on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, there'll be a time where we'll switch off the cameras, and then maybe 5 or so minutes of just asking questions there. And then finally, if you want to just ask a one-on-one question with one of the wonderful experts up here, then based upon their time and what time they have available, then I'm sure you can maybe ask that question there. And finally, Tuesday mornings, Tuesday talks at Health Hub Bali in Pereiranan. I know everyone pronounces Pereiranan differently, but you know what I'm talking about. So they go into these topics on a deeper level. So tonight we only have an hour or so. It's not long enough. You'll get a taste. Some of you might just get annoyed. It's like, I want more, right? I want more, but you can't. That's why there's Tuesday talks at Health Hub Bali. So just go online, Instagram, Health Hub Bali. All the information is there. And they go into different topics every Tuesday and go deep. And it gives you a chance to really immerse yourself in all of what we're talking about tonight. So now back to you, Dr. Chai.
This is for the first time I'm joined this panel. But surprisingly, we are here like we are fit with each other. Okay, for me, we're talking about the circulations, we're talking about the immune systems, we're talking about the cardiovascular problems. But in here, the Diana is surprisingly talking about the lymphatics. So that's I understand very much, but it's surprising me too, because her expertise is very good for, especially for cancer, for the cancer. Because it's involved with the waste, nowadays, scarring is not the heart, not the brain problem. the scarring is a cancer, You must have a lot of money, and it means you must go a couple times to the hospital, and people say the suffering for the cancer patient, the sufferings begin when you are going to hospital. So in the future, I plan to open a cancer hospital. So I'm very glad to know Diana here. Maybe she can play part of what we call our plan in the future. So of course, with Robert, of course, this is very, very, very promising, because people can what we call starving 1 week, they still survive. You are not drinking 1 day, you still survive, but you are not having oxygen for 20 minutes, you will die. You see? So in here, we are very, what we call a very complete team. So when people seeking for the healthy living, for a longer life, for a more, what we call quality life, this is a very promising, what we call therapy, or maybe attitude. So we are not going to waiting if something that hit us. See, like we have a car, you must do 2 months or 3 months or maybe miles. The measurement, you must go to the what you call the repairman But actually, this is not repayment. That's a maintenance. So why not people, when they are from the birth times, they have the what they call like a maintenance book. Yeah, there's a guidance book. So it's mean people can living at least for 100 years. But for me, maybe 120 years. Right? But
130.
yeah, 130, why not? Because there's many things that we can do compared to just eating the medicine to make you to come down to what they call to easy your problem, your sickness. Actually, is like like foolish things to do, Because why? Because you poison your body every day. So why you are not going to seeking for the expert by the natural therapy? So it means in the future they said there's no medicine involved in the human body at all. Yeah.
That's the future of
Yes,
health
of
right
course.
there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Of course. So there are many things. This is what they call a natural healer that's God already give us this kind of from our ancestor before, yeah. So this is nice thing to hear this night. Thank you.
Thank you for
Dr.
coming.
Chai, really, round of applause. We're not finished, but I feel it's needed. Without plugging it too much, but I think one should. We're here tonight, due to our dear friend Tracy, right, who spent the last 10 years trying to work out and figure out how this Health Hub Bali can allow people to take, health in their own hands, right, by creating a network of allied health professionals, which, there's a patient journey, there's a client journey for each of us, right? Mine will be different to yours and different to yours and probably different to yours too, Dana. And Rob, maybe the same. Same client journey, man, you and me, right? Maybe different as well. But then that's what is available, right? And you've worked very hard to bring this all together, right? So just want to honor that, right? And just to respect that. And then the next question which comes, which you alluded to, right? So just on this panel alone tonight, let alone with all the other panels which have been before, like you can see that there are ways here that each of us who are also watching online can improve the quality of our lives, right? And can extend our lives, but with quality too, right? But as you said, it's the expense, right? Because maybe not everybody here has got a couple of, tens of thousands of bucks up their sleeve to spend or more. If you go to the US, as you mentioned before, like 10x you mentioned, 10x cheaper here to do it than in the US, right? Crazy. So who has that money? So this is maybe a question that goes out to whoever wants to answer it. Like, how do we then make this more, the accessibility, got it. We can go Health Hub Bali, fine. But how do we reduce the cost? That's really my question, because that seems to be the biggest barrier outside of human beings not really wanting to go to doctors, right? Me, I'm the worst. Like, if I get, like, I don't know, like if I hurt my leg, or the last place I would go would be if I can walk. I came from the generation of like, like you break your leg, walk it off, son. It's broken, walk it off. So I'm really, and Tracy knows this, and quite extreme in that the body will heal itself. And I allow it to do that with positive thoughts, and it seems to work for me, right? But again, maybe I'm not dealing with something that's a little bit more serious than that. But again, coming back to the question, throw it out there for anybody before we go to the audience, like how can we make this more cost effective and available to people, the normal person on the street who could benefit hugely by what is being discussed here? How do we do that?
I can talk from the perspective of LiveO2. Like I mentioned before, hyperbaric chambers are, a lot more expensive, and the LiveO2 systems, like for example, a hard shell hyperbaric chamber may be around 100,000 USD, 100 plus, depending on the options. A LiveO2 adaptive contrast system is right around $6,000, so That's a pretty big decrease in our technology that we've created that gives a similar effect, if not better in some cases. And then as far as accessibility, on our website, livo2.com, there is a map where we have a map of all of the locations that have Livo2 systems, and they span the whole entire world. So you can probably, any country that you're probably in, you can click on that map, find a practitioner that you need, and go down there and get sessions and see if it's going to be able to help you at a, it's not that expensive. A typical session around the world might be somewhere around $50 for a visit, something like that. So it's nothing crazy like 250 or so like you might get for a hyperbaric chamber. So.
Thank you. And same question to you, Dana, if there's an answer there for you. And then after that, we our brother Dr. Chai here and Tracy, and then we'll go to the audience.
It's a great question. I do believe that first it's seek to understand. So understanding the human body first and foremost. So like going to the Health Hub talks, getting a deeper understanding of what goes on in the human body. But deeper than that is actually understanding your body. So what your body has gone through. So your timeline is going to be different to the person sitting next to you and so on. So that's the next level that I think, this is all free, right? Yeah. So seek to understand is the first one. Then when you are learning, look for principles. So in regards to lymphatics, there are principles to follow. And if you follow those principles, it doesn't matter the technique. As long as that you're using that technique with the principles that work for you and work for the body. So then you can go and look at, okay, who's got lymphatic techniques and who's within the budget and who do I resonate with? And then the other one is, or the last one I'll finish on, is really the willingness to be for you. Meaning, we find resources, we find ways to be able to get what we want, no matter what that want is. Okay, we've done that ever since we were a child. So if there is something that you want, you will become resourceful. So have that want as something that is really compelling, and that there's a bigger reason than just to be healthy. Because for some reason, I had a conversation with a client today, that ain't enough. I want to be healthy, it's not enough. But why do you want to be healthy? Make it bigger than yourself. Then, that's a bit more compelling. Okay, now I will do X, Y, Z, whatever it is. So that's where I see we can.
Thanks, Sister
save some
Dana.
money.
Thank you. Brother Chai, Dr. Chai, my brother, over to you.
Yeah, actually, when we're talking about the maintenances, it's very, very cheap. You can do once a month, you can do every 2 months. Yeah, it's cost you around 130 US dollar like that. But yeah, this is expensive or not. In Indonesia, it's very, very cheap compared to Australia maybe. Yeah, I heard from friends, they doing one session is 4,000. Wow. Yeah, so that's why, in Indonesia, we not easily get rich. But yeah, what we are afraid of cost. Actually, this is not talking about the money we spend. We are talking about the money we earn. Because when you were sick, you cannot earn more money, right? You cannot work. So how life costs? So like you do driving, you have a license, you buying gas, maybe you hire a driver. How much it costs? So people actually should think not how to spend money, but the first thing is, can I earn money with health, the premium healthy? That's the most important things to ensure, okay? Because if you have money, or maybe you don't have money, but if you have a good health, you can go to seeking for jobs, for the business, to meet friends, to get what they call to more brighting thinking. So it's involved health, right? So actually in Indonesia, when we're talking about Indonesia, it's very, very cheap. So we are lucky to living in Indonesia. My son said, Papa, we are lucky living in Indonesia. I said, why? He said, you see, in the Western country, they even don't have the electricity anymore, while we have plenty here. Really? Yeah, of course. So, yeah, we said, we are lucky person can live in Bali. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. So you hold on to that one. So then Tracy, and then we will go to the audience. I did promise you about 10 minutes ago, but you know how it goes. We go over time. It's okay. All right. So Tracy, the question was, is there a way for us to reduce the cost? If so, what could that look like? Maybe in the context, making it a little bit more difficult for you. Yes. Maybe in the context of the future of health.
Yeah. So if we're going big, long way, we're talking about the mums on the planet and the way they rear their children. We're talking life medicine, what we eat, how we think, sleep, everything, with the way we move. And they're just fundamentals that would become part of life. Then the reason we've got the clinics is there because originally we started this series on the future of health with the statement is, despite all the science advances, we've got more problems now health-wise than we've ever had in history. So it's a combination of this whole health system that we're talking about here in Bali. And Bali's a place where we've got time to address that, the time and the space we can give people to really have a look inside and start connecting here. We can neutralise their disease and give them other ways of being. And we say there's 9 levels. The entry level for Health Hub is functional medicine, so we actually look at their functions and get that right. And then after that, there's many other modalities. Like next week, we've got a natural hygienist turning up. She'll be, she's been here for a decade, sharing her art of detox and art of life. And that's the type of thing. They're very simple. No eating, doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, and then the women's health experts that we have to reset the gut and make sure the hormones are right in the body. And a lot of that, it's just resetting and knowledge. It's mainly about knowledge. Breath doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, and what you said before, right, Dana? Those 3 levels of the information, and I love that. Because that's actionable for people to understand here. What are the principles, right? Be involved. What's your bigger why? Like a lot of people that I'm sure, I'm a father of 2 kids. I'm sure we've got some other parents up here and who are watching. And that's another one, right? It's like, well, I know one guy who's a bit overweight maybe a couple of years ago, and he was saying, and I saw him recently, he's like, he's like toned and he's not ripped, but ripped enough, right? And I said, so what happened? He goes, well, I realized that by the time my kids are X, I will be Y. And I don't want to be that guy who can't go out with them and play football or run around or do these things because I haven't taken care of myself. So that bigger why, he had his right there. So I listen, and I'm sure everyone here listens as well. And it's I just love being able to do this thing where we can facilitate and give important, share important information for people, which is actionable, that they can use to immediately increase the quality of the life that they're living. So I really appreciate you, Sister Tracy, my brother, new sister. Well, same name, come on, we knew already. So if everyone has any questions, feel free just to raise that hand. Now this microphone here, Sister Ayu, if we can maybe give the one to Ayu. And then, so again, about five minutes of questions, and then we'll switch the camera off. And if you have any private questions you don't mind asking, but not on camera, then after that, maybe some private time with the guys if they feel like giving it to you, which I'm sure they do. Yeah, so we're going to get the microphone here, just so everybody at home can hear your question. Yeah, all right? So we've got a few there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you, then go after Guido.
Okay.
All good.
So I'm really interested.
Just a volume, 1 second, volume.
Got it. Yeah. So I'm really interested, like Dr. Chai said, in not going to the doctor, as the future. Like I'm really interested in doing the stuff that don't require any time or money, which are just like protocols that you can follow at home, like what you did with the lymphatic thing. That was really cool. Never heard of it. So I just read a bunch of stuff online, but I always like to ask people, in the medicine field, which know a lot about it, what they think about it. So I'll give 3 topics. If any of you have anything like to say about how medically that it's good, or medically that it's like bullshit, then I would like to know that, because it's stuff that I do. So the first one about breathing and getting more oxygen into your, to improve the body's ability to absorb oxygen. I've heard a lot about like the Wim Hof method, and I also tried about just breathing, and that's supposed to help. And the second thing that I've heard about is that because of past traumas and the way that we breathe in a shallow way, we have the whole field of bioenergetics, that we're contracted in our body because we're so tight because so many emotions and stuff, and then our lungs are only at 30% capacity, so that also doesn't bring oxygen at all. So how do you guys see that, if you have any opinions on that? The last thing, regarding to what you said about getting junk out of your system, regards to intermittent fasting and fasting in general, how do you guys see that on anti-aging and cleansing? So I know that's a lot of stuff. Just anything interesting you have to say on any of those?
What I love about you is your energy is look, give me the microphone. It's super cool, right? Because again, the questions you have in your head is what other people have here as well, but now you've asked for them all, so it's really good, right? So what we do, we break it down into 3, and with the aspect of time, we maybe do one answer each, right? And then we can go deeper afterwards, okay? So, Rob.
Yeah, I can talk on breath work, and there's many, many different types of breath work, and Wim Hof method is one of them, and I think it's absolutely amazing. I love it. It's actually integrated into the LiveO2 protocols. So we do breath work with the LiveO2 system and without. So the standard Wim Hof YouTube video, just type in Wim Hof method, and he has a video on YouTube where there's a numbers on the screen, and he's talking through the breath work. That's amazing, and it's free, and you can do it literally right now. After you watch this video, go watch another one and type that in and just do it, and you'll feel it really does make a significant difference into how you can feel, your cognition, your alertness. So I'm all about it. I love it. Do it. It's amazing. That's my opinion.
Great. That's one. Thank you. The second one was?
Bioenergetics and not breathing, breathing shallow because we're compressed and stuff. The third one was fasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can do the contraction,
Yeah.
So from a perspective of blockage, so it's our body is full of tubes. If you want to think about that, we're very tubular. So everything is an open cylinder that things flow through, fluid flows through, whatever the fluid is, right? And that's where we need to get all the information into the cells, and then that information needs to get to wherever else it's got to go. So if you think about that, you think of internet. When we have internet and it's really clear, we get fast downloads. But when it's blocked, either choked, or when it's switched off, then we don't get anything. You could think of it even like your toilet, your sewage system, right? So we're actually just about cognitive, we're thinking of cognitive decline before. So the lymphatic of the brain is called glymphatics, and if we have a blockage of the drainage pipe from the brain down through the neck and then into the lumbar, then we have a problem with the sewage system. And if we're in Bali, we've had sewage system problems before, probably more times than we want to, but you know what happens, right? So there is that, that stuff. So if we can clear that out, then great. Diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, diaphragmatic breathing on its own, this is free. Again, Google it. Plenty of people do it and know how to do it well. That helps move your lymphatic system, because that's the biggest pump. The pump doesn't have a heart like the blood does. Okay, but the pump that you can use is the diaphragm, so you can start to open that up. And then the last one I want to say about the contraction again, emotions. I want everyone just to take a moment, first of all, just to know that you're in a safe space. So look around you and just know where we are, and we're all safe. We know the ground. We've been here for a while. We know the people around us. But if you start to now just think about something that's made you angry or maybe anxious, frustrated, if you're doing that now and you're really embodying that, you might start feeling your tissues tighten up. okay, and get contracted and twisted and tight. And when that happens, that blocks the flow. Okay, so that's the constriction again. That blocks the flow of oxygen. You stop, everything tightens up. So if you work on the emotional aspect of things and really going into breathing, meditation, whatever, that's, again, free. Walk out in nature, go for a walk in undulating surfaces, get up Mount Agung, things like that, slowly and easy. Then you're going to start opening things up and get some more flow. So that's, yeah, cost effective, and I hope that helps. Yeah.
Lovely. And then third and final one.
Fasting, if anyone.
Yeah.
That's really contribution online.
Got it.
Okay. Of course, I'm not expert in the fasting. Okay, but what I'm going to answer you about the breathing, swallow breathing. The problem is always people don't notice about the digestion system, because when you have plenty of anger, or maybe you have plenty of stress, is involved the what they call the acid too much in the stomach. Of course, the gas as well is too much, so it's pushing the heart. When it's pushing the heart, it is hard to breathe deeply. But the second thing is the beautiful things is when we're talking about the heart cannot working normally if the blood's too thick. The problem is what is the problem with the blood thickness? This is not about the blood thickness only. The problem is if you involve with the ozone, O3. Is O3, the beautiful thing is can make the red blood cell that carry oxygens is more flexible. So it can go to the narrow part. Yeah? So it's easily to transport. People, usually elderly, they have the what they call the capillary problem, because the red blood cell cannot go through. So ozone can make it more flexible. See? So the narrow part can go through, penetrate. So this is the ozone playing part. So what you are going to do is two things. First, to calming down the stomach, but you must control your anger, your anxiety, thinking too much. And of course, you must eat regularly, okay? Because we have a biological time. Whenever you do not want to eat, but of course you must eat, because why? It's time to eat. So our body have a biological time, like sleep. You have a biological time to sleep. So otherwise, your internal organ cannot clean itself, cannot get rest. Though involve many things. In the long run, there's a what you call heavy impact. So what I'm going to do is the attitude. The second, of course, involved with the food we take. Your food, not medicine. Food we take. So in here, we're talking about the herbs. It can help to calm down the acid, too much acid. Okay, but the cause is coming from the brain. See, so we easily do two things together. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. So look, what we're going to do now, right? So we are Guido. You had a question. No, you okay? Thank you. Okay. If we take that mic, because we're going to do that one afterwards, because we're kind of running short of time. Adrian will get your question in the private session afterwards. Not yet. We'll get it in the private session. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everyone here a minute, right? If you can do it in 30 seconds, even better, right? Even better. But it's okay. Just to, this might be reiterating something that you've said already. Or it may be something in your mind that you think, hey, I think this is really important to share. Okay? Yeah. Now you got a minute, so meaning I'm going to say one thing now, so you can think about it for a minute before you speak. So Dana, you're going to be after him, so you can be thinking. And my brother, You can be Dr. Chai. You'll be after Dana, and then we're finished with Tracy, and then we'll wrap it up from there. Okay. So the minute thing. So next week we have Thomas. So for those of you who know what a maker's lab is, I had no idea actually. So if you don't know what a maker's lab is, don't be embarrassed. I had no idea. So think about Elon Musk, right? That kind of brain, that kind of approach. How does he create incredible things? How does 3D printers and all this other wonderful technology, how can it be used to create objects, inventions which move civilization forward? They solve a problem or solve a challenge. That's basically what a Maker's Lab is. So in early October, we're in October, so I think in a few weeks' time, they'll be at Jimbaran Hub. It's Fab Labs. Fab Labs. So look out for that. Fab Labs. Go online, check it out. Thomas is one of the creators of that. And he's from Venezuela, actually. And Fab Labs was started by MIT, for those of you who want to go a bit deeper. So he'll be my guest next week on Speak Up Monday. So if that interests you at all, make sure you're here next week. But incredible knowledge Thomas has. Sat down with him, is a guy who's really driven by solving local problems using technology and making it, right? So just phenomenal mind. So tune in or just come in person is always better. Next week, 6 p.m. pre-networking, 6:30 go live. I just want to thank Itchy, who we got, Brother Guzman and Sister Ayu, Tropical Nomad, for making us look and sound good, and being here every week, being our technical partner and obviously a really good friend. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Those of you watching at home, obviously our guests, which we're going to give you a round of applause after Tracy, and those of you here who are coming and watching it live, all right? See you soon, Harold. So, Robert, so 30 seconds to a minute, give us something good.
Got it. Yeah, if there's one condition that I've seen literally magic before my eyes with, it's with dementia and cognitive decline. So if you know somebody, yourself, your family members, a friend, anyone that is dealing with that, a lot of people just don't even know that we exist, and they don't know how effective this is and how affordable it can be. So I would really recommend going to livo2.com. It's the letter O and the number 2.com, and learning about Livo2 and contacting us so we can get your family member, yourself in touch with somebody, because it's really impactful, and I just wish more people knew that option was there, because it's dementia is a really, really challenging disease, and I wish more people knew about that. So,
Sister Dana.
Okay, I don't know how many things there are, but first of all, know yourself and learn about the body, understand the body. Okay, then the next one is drainage precedes supply. So get rid of the waste before you start loading the body. The next one is order matters. So whatever you do for your body, your order is going to be unique to you. Then the next one is it's everything works until it doesn't. Okay, everything works for you until it doesn't. When it doesn't, ask questions. That's the key. So none of these are like, well, this doesn't work. It all works when it works. And when it doesn't, ask more questions. And from that point, you'll know where to move forward to. And then that would be your order. So that's...
Wonderful. Thank you.
For me, it is just a facility, If people have very, very bad situations of choice, or my doctors asking me to have a surgery, to have a chemotherapy, to have a transplantation, everything that's care, they can come to me. We have discussions. We have deeply checking how the situations is really bad by the doctor. There's many things. If you seek for the deeply questions, the answer, you will have the answer that really make you more easy and happy. Okay, because everything is not a death sentence. When you dig more deeply, you will see the what you call happy answer. The second is we have the alternative one compared to if you have what you call problems for years that cannot be solved by the medical doctors or by the medicines. Make sure it can be helped. It can be helped because we have many things involved with the equipment device, medical device, involved with the what you call blood cleansing, involved with the we can what we call the growing of the blood vessel. We can regrow the blood vessel as well. Involved with the herbs, involved with the acupuncture. Yeah, of course, there's many things I learned from this lady, DVT lady. Yes, it's good level lymphatic. Then I believe we can maybe in the future we can work together. Because what? Because actually we no need to involve with the many things in surgery part, you know. So actually no need to surgery because our body is a system, a huge system that's suitable for everything, everything that is already in the body. Yeah. How we are doing is just to make it active, to trigger it. Yeah, because it's stuck. Okay, like the blood stuck, the coronary problems with like the blood pressure. So everything can be clean. Even we can clean the what they call the calcium in the heart, the coronary. We can take it out. We can delete it. No need to have surgery or maybe a stent or maybe the couple of bypass. No need at all. Yeah. So there's many things that's beautiful, not scaring you, and of course, it's very, very affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And lastly, Tracy, over to you. I feel like wrapping up. I love that. What do you want me to say? I just asked a question. So where we are now is that so we've been through this episode. We've spoken about the radical reset. We've spoken about all the things that we have, about how it treats dementia and all these other cognitive disorders. So now it's a wrap up. Yeah, it's coming over to you.
Basically, this is an example of the platform Health Hub Bali is connecting you to better health. How's it doing that? Can you read out the blurb?
You can go for it.
All right. The thing is, everybody deserves a choice, but sometimes you don't know what choices are available. So we've collected through the world all different practitioners, like-minded, who actually really care, and they've got knowledge and information that we're sharing through this platform. And the idea is how to navigate that. There's also a model where you have the menu and then you have navigators, and that's what we're building up now, where you have health coaches in integrative medicine, and you do have a choice, but it's up to you. But we're saying get your resolves right before something happens, understand how your body works, and then move up from there.
You did beautifully. You see what I mean? So everybody, a round of applause, please. Thank you.